Karla Trotman of Electro Soft Incorporated. We are very pleased and excited to have you here today and to have honored you in our well-being feature because you're an incredible example of a company that has gone to great lengths to make sure your people feel healthy, safe, and secure. So, as you put it, they can bring their best selves to work. We're going to dive deep into how and why you do that. But first, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And thanks for honoring me in Electrosoft.
It was such a pleasure. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them a little bit about your company and what it actually does, since you may not be a household name.
Sure. My name is Karla Trotman, President and CEO of Electrosoft Incorporated, as was said. I am the second generation owner of Electrosoft. What we do is we are contract manufacturers. I liken that to, you think of Apple iPhone. Apple doesn't have manufacturing facilities. They outsource to Asia to a company that builds for contract their electronic devices. It helps with controlling costs and whatnot. We do the same exact thing here stateside in America, manufacturing of electronics. But what we do is we don't do consumer electronics. We do industrial and defense. And what we focus on is the inside. So if you open any device, whether it's your computer or your television, you'll see a board with parts in it. You'll see cables connecting everything. That's what we build. We focus on those assemblies. So for contract, we will build the internal electronics for various companies in industrial and in defense here in the US.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And what an exciting industry to be in right now, obviously, for all kinds of reasons. You mentioned that you were the second generation. And, I love that because one of the things that we really focus on is the long haul and companies that are not just in it for short-term gain or, to do an exit in 5 years, but companies that are really trying to create a legacy. And certainly when you're continuing the legacy of those that came before in your own family, that's a great example of that. What are some of the lessons that you might say of that you brought forth that you learned from those that came before in your family and that you're really proud to embody in your company today?
Well, I would say that I didn't even want to take over the family business. And so, name a child that wants to take over a manufacturing company. There's not many. And part of the reason is that I think we're programmed as young people to want to, we're supposed to go to college to get that good corporate job and ride the train in and have your fancy everything. And we don't pay enough attention to the small businesses, which are really the economic engine of the country. And
Mm-hmm.
here my family had this company and I would walk in and I knew all the people and I was like, this is great, but this is small beans. I'm headed up to the city job and to wear my nice clothes. And it wasn't until I had a family and wanted to spend more time with them and have less of a high impact job that I realized legacy and that I wanted to take over the family business. That was the first time. I was in my 30s. And because of that, because I realized how corporate can be a grind, I didn't want that for my life. And so I started thinking about my life. And I didn't see the people that worked at our company feeling like it was a grind. By choice, many of them showed up every day for years. Most people were over 10 years, over 15 years. I grew up with a lot of them. And they've known me since I was a child. So for me, it was almost like an extended family. So for me, seeing how my family treated everyone as an equal human being from the time a person would dump your trash, hey, how you doing? How's your kids? What's going on? How's that kitchen renovation? Just a really personable way of dealing with people. I've always felt that, down to how I treat any person that I would come across, whether I was in corporate America or anywhere, just to honor the human being. And so for me, it was a natural pull to small business, to manufacturing, because it was something that I grew up with that felt like family. And I wanted to extend that feeling. But, let's not get it twisted. We're still in a contractual relationship. But just because you show up every day and we're in a contractual relationship doesn't mean that we can't treat one another well. And that's
Yeah, no, yeah, that
yeah,
is so spot on, and it's so, and I'm glad you said what you said at the end, because we don't talk about just being nice to be nice. I mean, that's great, and
yeah,
we should all be nice every day, but within a business situation or a business arrangement, there's a value that's created by taking care of people, and it's better business
it is.
to take care of people. It sounds like that was something that was part of the mantra of your family. And
Mhm.
is that did your parents talk to you about that when you were growing up?
I think our parents model behavior better than what they want to
Mhm.
tell us to do and how to be. And so it wasn't outwardly emoted in voice, but just more so shown to us on how you treat everyone.
Yeah, and it obviously worked. And I also love the fact that your own personal experiences with your own family, made you realize, the people in your life made you realize how taking care of people was something you wanted to be around and you wanted to be doing, rather than, kind of working in this very impersonal corporate environment. And like you said, personal experiences, modeling, these are all things that help us to do it in our own lives. Tell our listeners a little more specifically now about how you're doing that. You have some incredible benefits in your company. We talked about that,
Mhm.
and you proudly talk about how you like to extend benefits that rival Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you do it and why you do it.
Absolutely. I think this was really something that my father had brought to the forefront, that he wanted to be able to give people the same things that they would get at a large organization. And that's from not just healthcare, because you got to remember the people that work for us are hourly employees. So they're not getting the giant
Okay.
paydays. They're getting work that's commensurate with other people within the industry. And I would say sometimes even a little bit better, because we like to reward people for skills that they accumulate while working for us. And we pay for training as well. But as far as healthcare, we pay 60% of all healthcare, and it's not just single payer, it's everyone.
Wow.
We pay 100% of dental because we don't think that should be a choice. I don't know why dental isn't just part of healthcare, but for some reason it's on the side. Um, as a small business, we wouldn't have normally been able to do like a program that allows you to have counseling or help, or if you wanted to consider your legal options in life by joining a PEO and extending that opportunity to other people. PEO allowed us to have more availability and offerings of healthcare plans, of options to give folks, and it allowed them to really feel like we take care of them in a way that most companies would not. They would just pay a differential and say, hey, we're under 50 employees, we don't have to offer healthcare. Here's $300, go figure it out on the exchange. We just really think we want to be fair and make people feel valued.
That's incredible. And the intention of doing that is extraordinary in itself. The reasons, some of which you've already talked about, the value of that. What's the result of that? A lot of people might say, "Oh, well, that's not profit oriented or profit driven." But from what I understand, your company is growing by leaps and bounds because of these kind of policies, correct?
Yeah, well, we're in advanced manufacturing, so it's very hard to have a strong employee pipeline being filled in from the schools and whatnot. So we have to maintain the staff that we have and continue
Mhm.
to help build their skill level. So if we didn't, and if they left, it would be a huge loss for us. We wouldn't be able to do the work that we have in the environments in which our work goes into. So many times our hope is that with dealing with people from the heart, that they're able to that they want to stay. We want them to stay. That's really what it comes down to.
And so, I mean, again, an extraordinary confirmation of the fact that doing business this way works. And it would cost you not to do business this way, essentially, from what
Yes.
I understand you're saying. So I think that's a great lead into something else that you've been a big proponent of, which is workforce development. And I understand you've done some pretty powerful things, and you're on the cutting edge of that, in your industry, in your area. Share some of your, maybe some of your proudest victories in that area, and why you champion it so much.
Well, in advanced manufacturing these days, people are a huge driver. I know everyone's talking about robotics, animation, or not, automation rather, and cobots and whatnot. And they're great, but you still need people to operate them
Hmm.
and people that you trust. And the work that we do goes into expensive pieces of equipment that help move people. They power a lot of aspects of everyday life that people just don't think about. So with workforce development, these aren't skills that you pick up in school. And even in trade schools right now are being used for young people to, especially in electronics, to be better engineering candidates for colleges. So they're not even coming into
Wow.
the workforce. They're like, yeah, I'm doing this so that I can get into, Purdue. So so, which is admirable. I understand it's a great way to do it, but it limits the pipeline. With workforce development, what we really want to do is we have 5 generations that work in our company. So we want to be able
Wow.
to work with those who are older who want to stay in the workforce and they want to cut their hours if they want to, still be active and still be semi-retired, but also help train the next generation of workers. So we have them work side by side. The young people will sometimes implement AI and taking what the older generation has been teaching them and help marry it together so that we don't lose all of that institutional knowledge that they've accumulated over the years. Uh,
Yeah.
we've utilized Philadelphia Workforce Development for Philly Works. They have an industry partnership, and we are a non-competitive group of manufacturers that gets together every month to discuss the challenges and issues with employees, or finding employees or finding workforce. And we created training programs. We've created models that allow you to know what the next steps are. We've written for grants. And so we're able to have a sustainability fund to help decrease the cost of training employees in-house or sending them out. We sometimes bring all of our employees together that are interested in a particular topic and train them together. We look at ways to bring young people into our workforce to explain what manufacturing is and to give them some hands-on experience during the summertime with work opportunities. And we're really are trying to redefine what manufacturing looks like as a career, because a lot of people have in their minds that it is this dark, dirty, dangerous place, but it's not. Manufacturing is whenever you take something from its initial state and do a value add and make it into something else. So in essence, that could be a baker, it could be somebody putting together furniture, or in our company, our business, it's putting electronics together and sending it to the next phase. So our hope is that we're really trying to focus in on marketing manufacturing better so that we can attract more people to the workforce. We have money going directly to training. So if people want to make a shift in career and lean into manufacturing, if young people want to decide not to go to college because it's so expensive, we have students now working for us and going to community college part-time. So they
Hmm.
have a full-time career, they have benefits, they are able to get to the point where they want to start living on their own and going to school at the same time. So it's just a really great way to just pouring into the workforce and pouring into people. Another way we show that we care.
We could talk for an hour just about that. I mean, that's so extraordinary what you're doing, and it's so timely and necessary. You hit on so many important aspects of what's going on in our society right now, right? I mean, we have to have people that do those jobs. And if we just keep telling everybody to go to college, and that's the only route,
Yeah.
we're not going to have anybody to do those jobs. Plus, the fact that there's a lot of people that would like to do those jobs if they didn't have such a negative connotation.
Mhm.
which you're doing a great job at changing that. That's awesome. That's such a win-win. And again, just another great example of how, people-centric business is a win-win for the company, for the value of the company, and for the people and for society, in general, in such a big way. So hats off to doing that. It sounds like you're just succeeding in all kinds of ways and for all the right reasons. What's your grand goal, if you will, for your company?
Well, definitely growth. I think that so Electrosoft started out as really a lifestyle business for my family, and as you know, manufacturing has is having its own renaissance right now in America, and I just see a lot of opportunity for people who want to become entrepreneurs to come become entrepreneurs. I see a way for small companies to become larger companies and really change the trajectory of their families and change the story of their families. I think there's ways that companies, as they get bigger, they can become ESOPs and allow their employees
Mm.
to become owners of the business. And so there's so many right now. I'm planning for Electrosoft to be a family business, planning for the next generation, but I also am planning to trying to figure out how can we expand manufacturing outside of this quiet corner? How can we, because it's really beneficial to this country to grow the industry so that we can increase GDP because it's really in the value add. That's what people kind of don't understand. Technology is great because it scales very rapidly, but manufacturing also had this great value add, which is why automotive industry was so strong for so many years. And it's a great way to create wealth within a community because you're hiring people and you're giving them opportunity in ways that technology can't do because you need to be trained and skilled in a certain way. So as things unfold, like my goals change, often.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to stay with the family business because um, family businesses, small business, medium-sized businesses, we're able to make decisions for the long term versus something like a private equity portfolio company. They're trying to turn a certain profit over in a certain time period of that portfolio. And in doing so, they're like a time right now with tariffs, which have impacted our bottom line. I'm able to say, no, we're going to hold on and we may not make as much money this quarter, but I feel like in the long term, we're maintaining our employees, we're maintaining our staff, people are
Wow.
feeding their families. And we're going to do that because that makes more sense to me in the long run than a short-term gain and profit. Because if that was what I was chasing, I probably would have lost half of my workforce.
Carla, that's just so brilliant and so spot on with what we talk about all the time. And I actually get angry when I hear some of these companies talking about their reactions to the tariffs, because whether or not you agree with the tariffs or not does not affect how you're going to respond or react to it. You can react in a positive way, especially companies that have, more than enough profits rolling in. They could weather it for a while if they want to do the right thing and take care of their people, take care of their customers. Certainly they can do it if you're doing it,
Mhm.
at your level. So you are such an incredible example of just how to lead a company in a positive, people-centric way. And I just love that. And that's a great segue into one of my last questions that I would love to ask you, which is just you obviously are doing a lot, not just to lead your company, but to kind of lead the next generation of business thought, and employee opportunities in all kinds of ways. What would your advice be to other companies that are maybe struggling to decide how to move forward, and looking at more short-term routes, and comparing them to long-term benefits and saying, oh, maybe we need to go for the quick profits? What's your advice to them?
I think sometimes the most genius ideas come out from the theory of constraints. Try to in my mind, my constraint is that I want to protect my people at all costs. I want to be able to offer um, the my customers great service, great products, and continue that. I'm constrained by that. Whatever happens outside of it, how do I make it happen? And I think some of the best ideas are born out of that. A lot of companies are able to pivot at this time period. A lot of companies are able to identify new opportunities. And so I would just say that try to think of what you're going to hold dear and close to your company, and see what outside of the box thinking that'll allow you to go to still maintain or go to the next level without impacting your greatest treasure in your business.
Wow, I love that. They're your greatest asset, obviously.
Mhm.
And a lot of people do forget that. So thank you so much for reminding everybody of all this that you're doing and that you said. And thanks for doing all that you're doing, because you really are the backbone of what we love to call, people-centric business and the future of American capitalism. Because if we don't do business this way, then business will eventually fail. And we truly believe that. And so thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
Real quickly, then, if people want to learn more about your company, what's your website?
electrosoftinc.com.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.